Hey there, Snappy Dressers, I'm the Ratpack 3-piece, and welcome to yet another day in my life. I need to get a better catchphrase. Anyway, so mostly all I'm doing today is working on some stuff for a game that I'm starting to run again, for like the 5th time. Longtime viewers know that I've been working on a Naruto-based tabletop role-playing game for quite some time, and have had some varying success with starting the game and getting people to actually play. At the moment, the game has been put on hiatus again, and we are restarting again from the very beginning. This will be the last time, I swear. I'm not restarting this game again. I don't give a damn. So, today I've been working mostly on stuff for the newest version of the game, and I thought I'd show you a bit of what it is. Alright, so this is the main stat sheet. Obviously, it's a Naruto-based game, and let's look at the main stats so far. So, up here in the top left corner, we have name, health, chakra, your basics for pretty much any real RPG system. So, health, you can only upgrade 8 times. It'll start at a base of 20. Same for chakra, you can only upgrade it 8 times. That way, the cap on both is 100. Not including things I'm going to be adding in later. So I believe the total caps for both will be 110 because of things I'll be adding to them each later on in the game. Things that the player can take that will allow them to increase their stats beyond the restricted cap. Over here we have how you keep track of your ranking system. E through S rank, you'll notice that S rank is conspicuously absent because that's the last one you can take. So just going from the ranks, let's just see what you can actually go through and how it's going to rank up. So from E to D rank, it's going to be 2 points to go from E to D rank. So you just put a point here and you put a point here. Then from D to C rank, it's going to be 4 points. From C to B rank, it's going to be 6 points because 4 plus 2 equals 6. 6 plus 4 equals 10, so C to B is 10 points. Or B to A, I should say. Sorry, B to A is 10 points. And then A to S is 16 because 6 plus 10 is 16. Go figure. Next, let's go into the main stats. So we have weapon skill, ballistic skill. If you're into tabletop RPG, and if you're watching this episode, I would assume you are, but let's assume that you're not and you don't know what those things do. Basically, weapon skill is your close range combat, how you deal damage, whether or not you hit your opponent when you're using a sword or just your fists. This is the non-long range. This is, for fans of the Naruto show, this is going to be your things like your taijutsu, your close range jutsu, things that you don't really need long range capabilities for. Ballistic skill is the exact opposite. This is the one you are going to need your long range skills for. This is basically whether or not you can hit from a distance, and that's basically all that those two do. Agility is how well you can dodge those hits. Your strength is how much damage you're doing with physical attacks. Most jutsu will have their own set damage that they do, and actually I'm thinking about removing this particular stat because I actually already have a strength system, so there's probably going to be, now that I think about it, this stat is kind of superfluous. It could, I guess I could make it do some extra damage going on, like, physical attacks, because jutsu do their own set damage, plus you have damage depending on what your rank is. So if you're an E rank, you will be doing D4 of damage. If you're a D rank, you'll be doing a D6, and so on and so forth until you get up to 2D12s is the max amount of damage you can do at S rank by itself. So I think that's actually pretty appropriate, and I might get rid of this strength stat because of it, because it already scales up pretty well. Then there's the toughness, which is just going to be how much damage you can take off of the attacks that you're being dealt, and experience, which is pretty obvious. With the main stats out of the way, let's move into the substats, which are movement speed, area of awareness, sneak, and awareness it's by itself. Movement speed is basically how many squares on the board that you can move at any given time, so 2, 4, 6, and 8. Area of awareness is basically the same, only this is how far on the board that you can see. And this can be increased with certain people's abilities for other abilities later on. Like you'll see in the Sharingan allows you to increase that to pretty much double. Sneak and awareness, these are going to be pretty important stats, as the way I've got it, sneak is how you disengage from a battle, because ninja, so kind of have to have something like that. I think that's important. So your sneak is not just how well you can sneak around, it's also whether or not you can disengage from a battle that you're losing. It's also whether or not you pass your bluff checks, things like that. And pretty much the same for awareness, only in reverse. So awareness is whether or not you can let the opponent go, whether or not you sense the opponent sneaking up on you, or whether or not you can tell when somebody is lying to your face. These three stats here are ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu. These are the three chakra stats that I've come up with. Now, most people would probably have just made chakra its own mana pool or something more traditional, but in order to sort of balance things out a little bit, I actually did this. So these actually will work in reverse of the other stats. So the main stats, they will be starting anywhere from 1 to 5. I haven't decided. I think it's going to be 5 because of some traits that I'm working on, but that's unimportant. So those will start at a base, and then you will have a select amount of points that I will determine that you will be able to add to those upon character creation. The same will be for the chakra stats, but they'll all be at a base of 1. And then you'll have, I think it's going to be like 5 or 6 points to distribute amongst all 3 stats at a cap of 5. Now, this one's a bit weird because in the other stats, the higher they are, the better. But in this one, the lower they are, the better, because of how I'm going to have them work. And I'll explain that maybe tomorrow. I'll explain some of the mechanics. But these will be working on a D6 system, and that's why I will have it this way. Okay, so on to specialties. As you can see here, I've got the ranks E through S, and basically what that means is your rank will determine where in your specialty that you are. So if you've put the 2 points into going up to D rank, then you will be able to get E and D rank techniques. For example, let's pop over to the Sharingan. So for example, I've pulled up the Sharingan here. At E rank, each player will be able to pick one of these two if they have the Sharingan. So they'll be able to pick either awareness or area of awareness to get a free point in, and then everything else they'll have to spend a point in to upgrade it further. So as you can see, these at E rank, you will have access to upgrading your awareness and your area of awareness. But if you go up to D rank, you will have access to upgrading your gift for genjutsu, which gives a negative cost to casting your genjutsu. Basically, all that means is when you roll for genjutsu, this much is taken off of the chakra cost every time that you roll it. At C rank, the Sharingan user will be able to start copying jutsu. At first, it's 3 slots. And then at the second level, it's 6 slots, and at the third level, it's 9 slots, which basically just means you can copy up to 9 different jutsu and use them in battle. But you cannot copy a jutsu until after you've beaten the person that you've copied it from. So in other words, you can't copy it mid-battle and use it again mid-battle. You have to wait until the next battle. Then there's the Mangekyo Sharingan, which basically just allows you to boost your awareness even more, as well as letting you access Tsukiyomi and Amaterasu, respectively. Now, this one's a bit different than the ones above it. Mangekyo has the first level, it does nothing, but after you get to the second level, you unlock Tsukiyomi, and after you've maxed out Mangekyo, you unlock Amaterasu. As you can see, they actually they have the effects written in here, so if you want to pause the video and read those, you are more than welcome to. Now, Izanami and Izanagi, the print is small, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. At A rank, you get Izanami and Izanagi. Basically, what these do is Izanami allows you to turn one friend into an ally at the cost of sight in one eye, which will have the effect of cutting your total awareness in half, including boosts. So, Izanagi does the same thing, has the same drawback, but in this case, you basically get to say, I didn't take 1 damage. Down here in the S rank, we have the Susanoo ability, and this one is a bit different than it is in the show. It's not nearly as powerful as it was in the show, so forgive me on that one if that bothers anybody. So Susanoo, the first level, is you basically do 1d12 of damage with a giant skeletal construct. In the second level, you're doing 2d12s, and the third level is 3d12s, and the construct gets more and more armored as it goes up. Now, as you see, there's some space for another jutsu here. That's because the Sharingan is unique to each person. Every Sharingan user, upon activating their Mangekyo, gets a unique ability onto them. For example, Obito had the Kamui ability, which Kakashi also had, but only because he had one of Obito's eyes. So that was the ability to basically teleport crap. So down here, I'm leaving a space open, even though there's obviously space up here in D rank too, but forget that for a minute. But I'm leaving a space open for if that person wants to create their own unique ability, and it's going to be an S-rank technique. And by that time, the game's probably coming to an end, so I'm going to be a lot more willing to let them come up with some really bullcrap abilities. But what we were thinking for this so far is just he can use Susanoo as armor on himself and basically just Kamen Rider it up. But abilities from the show are not the only things I'm working on. I also have unique Kekkei Genkai I made specifically for this game. So this is one of my friends. She rolled Kekkei Genkai, and we came up with this ability for her. She wanted to run a character that's a lot like Sakura from the series, because she's a big fan of Sakura. I know, apparently they exist. So, but she also wanted her character to have this unique Kekkei Genkai that we kind of came up with together, and she just... Well, I came up with the idea, but she really liked it, so... it's the Hikarigon, which is another dojutsu. It's an eye-based Kekkei Genkai, for those of you who don't know what that means. And it basically means she can see the ribbons of light, and she can interact with light-based chakra, which makes her chakra affinity light chakra. Now, at E rank, she'll get access to these 3 abilities. She'll get the first one for free, because everybody gets the first E rank ability for free. I don't actually know if you can see my cursor. I should probably check that, huh? Can you? You can't see my cursor at all. Oh, well. Oops. Okay, well, let's use this then. So this ability you will get for free. I've been using my cursor to point out stuff, and you guys haven't been able to see anything I've been talking about so far. So, oops. But yeah, this is the one that she'll get for free upon activating her eyes, and then the other 2 will be points that she has to spend. Now, you've probably read them already, but I guess I'll just read them. Infusion of Light, this basically means that you can infuse any jutsu with light chakra, and it gains the abilities of light chakra, so it gains a piercing ability, which means it ignores armor. And for the first level, you add 3d6 to rolling for chakra. Now, I'll show you what that means probably tomorrow. I'll go over the mechanics tomorrow. I think that's a good idea. But you get to add 1d6 to your damage. But it doesn't work with other Hikari jutsu. So the jutsu that are on this page, the rest of the jutsu that are on this page, you cannot use Infusion of Light on any of these jutsu because they're already light jutsu. Basically, this is a jutsu that makes non-light jutsu a light-based jutsu. And at the second level, you're only adding 2d6 to the chakra roll, but you're adding another 2d6 to the damage as well. So it gets actually a lot better. At the third level, you only have to add 1d6 to your chakra roll, and you have to add 3d6 to damage. And again, tomorrow, when we go over that, it'll make a lot more sense. At D rank, she gets access to the Healing Light ability tree, which means If you have a healing jutsu that does 10 damage, if you have a healing jutsu that heals for 10 points of health, then the first level allows you to heal for 14 points, and so on and so forth, as you can see. At C rank, this is where she gets the bulk of her moves. These are 5 different individual jutsu that aren't terribly strong, but they're not terribly weak either. I think most people are going to get the bulk of their moves in the C rank category. I just think that's probably the most fair way of doing it. I believe the majority of the abilities in Sharingan were in the B rank, but that's mostly because the Sharingan doesn't focus on individual moves. It focuses more on a smaller group of big flashy moves, which is why the really damage-dealing moves come in the B rank and above. So just a quick show of what these different types of jutsu can do. Light Shield is basically, it's only 3 uses. It's reaction ability, so that means they can use it on their opponent's turn. So if she takes a hit from somebody, like say she fudged a agility roll and she's couldn't get out of the way of an attack in time, she can use Light Shield and it will basically negate that attack. She throws up a giant shield of light and she basically doesn't take any of the damage, but she only gets 3 uses from it. The next one is her first damage-dealing move, and this is for close-range combat, and it does 1d8 of damage, and they're basically just claws made out of light that she shreds the other player with. Or not the other player, but her opponent. Focus Light Beam is basically the same thing, only it's a beam of light that she shoots long distance. So it does a d8 of damage as well. Invisibility, she gets a +8 to whenever she tries to sneak. And Flash, which means she can create what amounts to a flash bomb anywhere in her area of awareness. That's what the AA there stands for. The opponent takes 2d8 to awareness for rolling awareness for the time being. So at that point you would use that, and then you would probably roll sneak. If she's using this, she could use the flash and then use invisibility, and that way she has like 16 at her base sneak, and now he has to roll awareness with a negative modifier of 2d8, so a possible 16 removed from whatever it is he rolls. So I think that balances out pretty well. I might change Flash to just be a straight up negative modifier at some point. I don't actually know. At B rank, this is where she gets some of her more powerful abilities. She gets the Weapon of Light tree. So she can create a Weapon of Light, a one-handed weapon. It has to be a one-handed weapon, which I apparently forgot to put in the actual box. Didn't do that the first time, but then my computer crashed and I lost all the work I had tried to do because I hadn't saved. So, yeah. That's bad. But it can only be one-handed weapons, and I'm going to have to make a point of changing that when this video is over. In the second level, she can make 2 one-handed weapons, and the basic advantages of that there is she can attack twice. And at the third level, she gets 2d10 for each weapon. So the damage dealt by a Weapon of Light is only 1d10 per weapon, and now it's 2d10 per weapon if she gets Light Overcharge. At A rank, she unlocks 2 ability trees. Well, 1 ability tree and 1 just straight up ability. The first ability tree is she just basically gets 3, 6, and 12 armor, which I think is pretty reasonable. It's light armor, so it's basically light shield, only now it's encompassing her entire body, so it's a little weaker, but she can take a lot more damage because of it. And then light great weapon, which basically just means she can make a 2-handed weapon, which is why I need to specify that it's a 1-handed weapon up here, and it does 3d10 of damage. Now, statistically, 3d10 is better than 1d12, which is what light cannon does, but it's upgradable, where light great weapon is not. And that's what makes it the S rank ability. light cannon is basically just one giant beam of light that she fires out. Technically, that will be doing 3d12 of damage because S rank gets 2d12 just for your damage on its own, plus the damage added from the jutsu. So she'll be rolling 3d12 there. And then Light Barrage is just a bunch of beams of light from every direction. That does 2d12. And then Light Storm is just it rains down beams of light from the sky, annihilating everything within a certain radius. And this can actually hit multiple opponents, which is the best thing. And it will do the same damage to all of them, so it'll be a maximum of 5d12 for all of the opponents. And there you go. So that's pretty much all I've been doing today, is just working on stuff for Naruto. I will be back tomorrow to tell you how some of the mechanics work and how people will be rolling for all kinds of noise. So until next time, stay sharp.